Hello, friends. It's good to be with you once again. I do love, first off, I just want to say how much I love reading your replies to my announcements each week. It's so fun getting to hear from you. I so miss our interactions in class. So thank you for doing that for those who have replied to my little prompts each week, which are optional, but just really fun for me to hear from you and for hopefully for you guys to hear from each other. Um, I've got a really fun one this week. I'm going to share a separate link to just a 1-minute video of my kids this morning doing a little dance class. Eve is doing some tap. She just got tap shoes. She actually only just had her first tap class before this quarantine started. So a bummer. And Soren had just had his first jazz class before the quarantine, so they do a short performance. And my prompt for you this week is just a little more fun. Would you be able to just reply to my announcement with a photo or a short video of something fun or silly that you're doing to make the most of this time? And for us, that looks like a lot of dance parties, a lot of sing-alongs. My husband and Soren are building Soren a bookcase in the garage. And so the little ones have their own little wood shops with the scrap wood in these little tents in the garage, sanding away little scraps of wood. Anyways, we're just trying to be creative. And I'd love to see that from you. We've been doing this every week. Every day, actually, since the quarantine started, the School of Nursing faculty and the Liberty Station staff have been sharing different themes for the day, different photos, and one of them was kind of what we're doing in our extra time, which for me, extra time means extra kid time. Just fine. I'm accepting it. Anyways, so what's happening this week? Let me share my screen. There's a lot going on. And I know that you're finishing up an exam. So I hope that's been a wonderful learning experience for you and that it hasn't taken you an exorbitant amount of time. I will say that what I've been attempting to do with pushing this course online is keeping in the front of my mind, what's the amount of class time that we normally have? What's the amount of time that I normally expect that you'll spend on preparation for class? And then trying to match that with the online work and readings and videos. So I'm definitely trying to keep it as equal as I know how to do. And since this exam was not going to require any study time, my expectation was that the amount of time it took you to actually do the exam is similar to the amount of time you would have taken in class to take an exam, as well as your study time. If any of these things are way off, please let me know. I'm doing my best, but I'm not you, so I don't know. So please reach out if it feels like it's very imbalanced. So here we are, as you finish exam 2, we head into module 5, our last module, which is, I call it the world around us. It's basically a catch-all for all other things related to public health that we haven't addressed yet. So this coming week, we are doing disaster management, so timely, and environmental health. Environmental health, we're mostly taking a break from COVID. I thought it'd be nice to have a day off for the most part. So I have my PDF of my lecture video. I have noticed on YouTube that I don't have a ton of views to my lecture videos lately. So I'm guessing that not all of you feel that you need to watch me explain the video. That's fine. My feelings aren't hurt. So what I'm trying to do then is just make my lecture videos shorter. I don't go through every slide, but I kind of just highlight things that I want you to be aware of or to look at. So let me know if that needs to change. So 2 videos, 2 PowerPoints. Readings here. Usually in environmental health, we have these readings. Make sure this one document from ANA is just read pages 1 through 12, not the whole thing. And then we usually watch this TED Talk type video in class called the 10 Americans. It's about 22 minutes. So I just have the link for you there. Watch it on your own. Here's the worksheet that I would normally use in class for you to take notes on, so you can have that to help you with that. Fascinating video. I think you'll really get a lot out of it. For disaster management, I went back to applying to COVID because why not? And so we have something a little different this time, actually. I have another podcast episode from The Daily, which is my current favorite. I am in a routine now where I go on a 30-minute walk every afternoon and listen to that day's episode of The Daily. And it is just, man, it's good reporting on COVID. That is just, I'm such a nerd. such a public health nerd, but that is like a little gift to me every day. Anyway, so this one is a kind of a story on the federal stockpile of medical supplies and what's happening with that. It's very good. And then I have actually a patient simulation. It's a case study that you walk through online step by step. And I'll need you to do that. You don't have to fill anything out on the website case study. You just kind of read it, and you can click on things to choose your best answers as you treat a suspected COVID patient. But where that will come into play is when we go back to the activities for this week. You will have a quiz on Canvas, and you're allowed to use your notes and resources, just not talk to anybody else while you're taking that quiz. But you'll definitely want to have listen to the podcast and have done that case study to do well on the quiz. Let me scroll back to that. So that's quiz 10 here. It's, like I said, an actual 10 question quiz on Canvas. And then the other thing that you're doing this week is a team quiz for environmental health. Similar to what you did with ethics, you'll be engaging in a discussion board. This time, I'm not breaking you up into groups. You're going to be all in one big discussion board. So they should be 10 initial posts since there are 10 teams. So as a team, you're going to answer these prompts here. And then just like the other one, each individual will then need to offer at least one response by Thursday at midnight. And I assigned each team a topic. Some of these topics are very broad, some are a little more specific, and they should be stuff that you can find on both or either of these websites I listed up here. The Environmental Working Group, which is a nonprofit science and advocacy organization, and then the National Institute of Health has a website called Talkstown. Both of those are fabulous resources. You should be able to find what you need from those two websites. Let me know if you have any questions. I look forward to reading your discussion board from this current week about ethics and your arguments. There's so much to consider right now. And lastly, before I quit sharing my screen, let me just remind you, a few weeks back in my announcements, I shared how I would be continuing my Public Health Now segments. Instead of inundating you with news articles constantly, let's see, where is it? I got to scroll down a little bit. Here's how you can view my PH Now sharing. And what it is it's this Google Doc right here. Some of you are on it now. And I just throw up every day links to what I think are the most interesting articles about COVID. Just call it COVID-19 reporting. You're welcome to click on here at any point. Some of these have shown up in your readings, some have not. One that I have found fascinating. Oh, this Radio Lab podcast. I know someone said I could be a Radio Lab sponsor. No, I could be sponsored by Radio Lab. This one explains what it really means when we talk about the exponential curve. And they also have some really just beautiful things about how to stay hopeful during a crisis. I also think that my best read recently is this New York Times article about what the 1918 flu pandemic can teach us regarding long-term effects when we do strict quarantine measures. And they actually are able to show with lots of data from around the country that the stricter a city's quarantine measures are, the lower their mortality rate, which is not too surprising, but also the better their economy bounces back, which is something that we have often thought it would be in reverse. And they have shown that was not true 100 years ago. So I think that's fascinating as well. Anyways, so I hope you all are doing well. Remember to share a fun picture or video of something silly or just fun that you're doing when you're not doing schoolwork. And I will check in with you again next week.